Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Poems I Love. Kayode Sanni is my name, and it's so good to be back here again on yet another exciting episode. Special thanks to Ibadan Book and Arts Festival for having me on this episode. And just to encourage everyone who has not seen the previous editions. I think you should see it, and I can guarantee that it's going to be worth your time. You get to discover new poems, especially if you're a lover of poetry, especially if you're a lover of arts, and maybe you also love words, how people make up words. I think you'll find it very interesting, and it will be worth your time. So yes, right here today, I'm going to be reading one poem. It's titled "The Kingdom of the Mad" by Esiaba Irobi. It has 7 movements, but I'm going to be reading 5 of its movements today. Yes, it's titled "The Kingdom of the Mad" by Esiaba Irobi for BJ alias Biodun Jaifo, who is now late. May his soul rest in peace. Let's begin. BJ, as you know, poetry for all exiles begins in flight. The British Airways plane hovered over Lagos like a wounded albatross, then headed north towards Ibadan, emitting its jets of smoke over smaller cities, Ife, Ondo, Abeokuta, Ekiti, and the green forests, the markets, rivers, lakes, valleys, plains, mountains, and the smoldering savannas of the hunchbacked landscape we once called our country, over the kingdom of the mad and its greedy corrupt populace grinning gangrenously below, like wounds on a punctured suppurating heart over Nigeria, a fiction on the edge of extinction. It jetted round the neck of Olumo rocks like a curse, straightened its neck, blessed the skull of the earth with its urine-streaked droppings, then banged eastwards, its iron wings scissoring the wind and the clouds and the light with fury like a hurricane nicknamed the tail of the devil. Airborne now, I look down. How secure and powerful it makes one feel to look down from these heights and see one's own country and people as damned. See them as toothed vulvas waiting to bite off and chew into pieces whatever you put like a bone between their gaping, yapping, flapping, oversized, omnivorous lips. Food, foolishness, manifestos, your pennies, even urine from an aeroplane, raining down their open-ended throats like a sad, lugubrious poetry, the poetry of power. And suddenly, it dawns on me that this must be what it feels like. I mean, the ecstasy of power. This is what seduces us all. This feeling that one can soar above all and feed on it alone like a gifted vulture, like our late president, who, it has now been confirmed, died from an overdose of Viagra pills. Had esoteric tastes in women, every hue and color, every shade and shape, every style, every position, including the wheelbarrow which dumped him into his shallow, warm-cushioned grave. And so, BJ, from the comfort of this seat, empowered by the cheap red wine, the distance, the height, the British Council Fellowship, and the dazzling blinding light, the country spreads out below like the carcass of a gigantic cow rotting in the sun. Its future, a capsized canoe on the oxbow loops of the river Niger crawling below. I survey all, like Ozymandias, and smile. One day, this country will explode with a terrifying force, the force with which the engines like the imagination rage against the fuselage and the wings craving for the earth and gravity. It will explode in the hands and faces of its makers. It will explode like a crude Biafran bomb. And now, as the plane begins its cruise in high altitude across the sand dunes of the Sahara Desert towards the Tropic of Cancer, towards England on a clear September day, I take a final glance at what was once my country and sigh, as all exiles do, and begin to sing inwardly, without words, in all the colors of sorrow about the destiny of my country and of all exiles like me who leave never to return. I sit upon the laws that thieves have made to give the crooked the strength to rob the straight. I spit upon a country so full of wealth, yet millions wallow in squalor and in want. I spit upon the flag that flaps like a rag on an iron pole planted on the vision of pregnant generals. I spit upon rabid religions that defend a hell on earth and preach a heaven beyond its mire. I spit upon the education that turns its stenographers, a generation that could have been philosophers, visionaries, and revolutionaries. Upon this whole damned nation of mine do I spit, and while I spit, I weep. Join me, BJ, in this epic of a cynic, our nation's nunc dimittis, my ballad for our rigor mortis, which I sing on my way into exile, and while I sing, I weep. Join me with your baritone, brandy mellowed voice, even from across the Atlantic, from the other shore littered with exiles, like beautiful seashells on a tourist beach. Join me. I didn't know you two had fled. Some omniscient African-American egghead at Harvard told me, BJ, I can hear you from here. My sorrow is oceanic. Join me from Cornell. Nothing will stand between you and me and the pain of history this song contains. The cruelties of history, the fangs of our history, as sharp as the jaws of the desert and vast as the Sahara, as deep as the Atlantic, which now cannot stand between us and our demon song. So, BJ, join me in this booga dance before the cottage arrives and will become another shard amidst a pile of shattered shards in an exploding continent. And do you notice, BJ, how as one escapes further away from the boundaries of our nation, the surreal reel of the iniquities of our history begins to unfold faster and faster in the memory like slides from Shaw. BJ, do you realize as you read that I am what I have always been? A student of holocausts, a scholar of genocides, a professor of pogroms, a research assistant of exterminations, ethnic cleansing, and all other exciting atrocities of the 20th and 21st centuries. My compatriot, BJ, do you remember the beauties of 1966 exhibited as the masterpieces of our history in the galleries of the North? Do you or do you not? The human heads baked in an oven before they were fed to dogs. The female breasts sliced off with axes and scimitars. The vaginas and male genitals scalped with rusty scissors. The spoils of an incestuous war. Skulls trampaned with swinging axes. Necks chopped off on auction blocks, eyes roasted like granules before they were fed to vultures and other fowls of the air. The human brains used to repaint the dirty asphalt of the one road we have traveled since 1966. Corpses steeped into mass graves, some left to the caress of hyenas, the delight of vultures and the phalanges of the wind, the valley growing with bones and rotten flesh. The bodies of little children floating down the river, clutching like tiny white-green flags, the fragments of our future. Do you recall the memory of the Igbo woman who brought home like a trophy in a suitcase across River Benue, across the River Niger by donkey and by bicycle, my head and my train, the quartered pieces of her husband's body? It is happening again, BJ. It is happening again. At the turn of a new and doubtful century, it is happening again, and of course, you self can see how we have been standing here for half a century, knee-deep in ashes like embalmed sentinels, waiting for the sign of a new life. Any green thing that can sprout from this valley blooming with bones, blooming like Malagatana's paintings with its harvest of skulls. Yes, BJ. The iniquities of our history will shame Mussolini, shame Hitler, shame Enoch Powell, shame the Roman arena, shame Carthage, shame Rwanda, shame even history herself. I spit upon the laws that thieves have made to give the crooked the strength to rob the straight. I spit upon a country so full of wealth, yet millions wallow in squalor and in want. I spit upon the flag that flaps like a rag above an excrement of pregnant generals and the new monkeys with the conductor stick. Upon this whole damned nation of mine do I spit, and while I spit, I weep. Look at them, BJ, the welling dervishes of our history, politicians of the Third and Final Republic, with their spin doctors and dream makers, sorcerers and strings, all spinning round and round like the possessed prophets of Baal, stabbing themselves, cutting up their bodies, out of whose holes nothing flows, neither blood nor water, nor any juices of the spirit, Since these animals are meat, mere meat, fit only to be barbecued or roasted or baked, even cremated. I mean, the leaders, since they are by their nature toxins, inedible, and for the sake of their immediate humanity should be handcuffed, shaved, upstairs and downstairs, putting in a leaking boat and pushed into the Atlantic Ocean, where they will find among the monsters of the deep the bones and relics of their ilk, snorkeling among the ocean floor, among the polyps and corals, the skeletons of a drowning history. Here they come again. Here they come. Look at them, BJ. International thieves. See their eyes and their stinking asses, their balding patches and trembling eyelids. See, they are making juju with their eyes now. Poke-out faces and leprous hands cradling their crystal balls, their luminescent balls. Hear their grind epics, their chants and great incantations. The prisons have been emptied. The parliaments are full. The donkeys are neighing. The horses braying. The bulldogs roaring. The hyenas throwing up. Meanwhile, the hen returns to roost without a brood of chicks because a python lies at the threshold, his stomach bulging with eggs and the bones of the only cockerel left. The compound walls are falling. Creepers crawl over our homestead. But I continue to sing, BJ, because as you know so well, it is only the homing pigeon who has left the loft and journeyed forth and returned, bloodied and brained in the skull, pebbled in wing and beak, who recites anew the myth of the land. So, that's the end of the poem. You can see how the poem has been written to be emotionally charged, and the reading was intentional to really convey the mindset of the writer. And the reason why I love this poem so much is it's in its writing, how Esiaba Irobi wrote it such that it was emotionally charged and spoke and wrote it as he saw it. And I just love the language also, and reading it again for me feels different right about now. And you can see how myself, I'm just trying to get myself back from that moment of reading through all of that, because for me personally, I think it resonates. I think it tells the story of our days. You can imagine how this poem was written years back and how even you can also sort of relate to all that is being written here. And I think that's why I relate so much with this poem, because it feels as though it's still speaking to our reality right about now. And I also love the figurative expressions there in the poem. I mean, there's a part I love that where he did, I think, alliteration, shoulder, something about the S word, S sound, and I so much love that part. I would have read it, but for the sake of our time. So that's it right about now on this edition of the Poems I Love. Kayode Sanni is my name. The poem I read is The Kingdom of the Mad by Esiaba Irobi. I hope you enjoyed it, and I encourage you to see previous episodes if you've not done, and to look out for more episodes that will be published right here on this channel. So, see you next time. Bye for now.